Before we get started tonight here, ladies and gentlemen, on Fast Break on IE Sports Radio, I want to talk to you about one of our sponsors, Legacy Financial. Last year was a tough year. However, staying positive, keeping your faith, and continuing to work hard is the goal. If you're in a financial struggle at the moment and you need some help, or if you're doing well and you want to get to the next level, either way, give them a call. Also, if you're looking for a new opportunity to work for yourself or earn more money part-time, give them a call also. Call AO at 510-928-2104 to book your appointment today. Andrew and AO are just two people on a mission to help families build a legacy. You also find them on social media at Twitter at legacy_uncut and on Instagram at Sims_uncut. All-Star Weekend is here upon us on the NBA season. Some players didn't want to play it, but it's being played right now. It's going on live right now. So we'll discuss that and much more here on Fast Break, live on IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports. Welcome to the show tonight, ladies and gentlemen, here on IE Sports Radio. This is Fast Break. I want to have the co-host, Davidson Crooks. D-Lock, how you doing tonight, sir?
Everything's going pretty good, man. Just zoomed in, checking out this All-Star game, looking at these other events going on.
Yes, All-Star Weekend here with us right now. Sabonis win the skills challenge pretty easily, from what I saw. I mean, he had a little challenge with Vucevic at the end, but other than that, he kind of breezed through the competition there. And we just saw Steph Curry win the three-point contest once again. And when he's on a roll, shooting-wise, you can't stop him. So it's just a sight to see that one of the best shooters of all time can just go out there and win a competition at ease.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him. Like earlier you said, he struggled the early, couple shots early. Then once he got the clicking, that was it. He just started draining all of them. So, that was very. I was very interested to see him, at the clutch moments. I want to ask everybody that's listening, but I think me and you just talked about it, and hopefully we'll get people, get their comments as the show goes. It's 5 seconds left in the game. You need 3 points. Who are you taking to make that last shot for you? Everybody that's listening. Davidson, I think you told me your answer, so we'll see what everybody else's opinion. But who are you taking between Steph and Damian Lillard? Tell us which one and why. But that's a very tough question, though, as you said before the show.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough call. and you can't go wrong with either answer. So,
Nope.
you know, we'll shoot out to the chat. We'll probably pick up with this question before we end the show. You know, who do y'all have, you know, as the person you want to take for the last shot? 5 seconds down to win the game, Dame or Steph? You know, just let us know on the chat, or we'll round up and see who everybody says. But D-Lock, we're going to discuss All-Star Weekend a little bit. And kind of like that halfway point here in the season. What are your surprises in the first half of so far this season?
I would say one of my biggest surprises, and we'll talk about just a couple of them. But my biggest surprise is the Timberwolves, man. We did a review, before the season of each conference, and I was really high on the Timberwolves. I just felt like a couple moves that they made, with Karl-Anthony Towns, coming back. I thought this team was gonna be pretty solid. I really, not necessarily, top 4, top 5 in the playoffs, but definitely not. Were they with 7 and I double checked to make sure, like 8-24 or 7-27 or something like that. So, for me, that's one of the biggest. They're 7-29. I don't know what they're doing with this team right now. I mean, D'Angelo Russell, we see him play and he's in and out for the most part. They went and got Ricky Rubio in the trade. So, and drafted Anthony Edwards. I just was expecting this team to at least make some kind of gel moving forward. But they haven't done that. It's like they're trying to get another number 1 pick. So I'll start off by saying that the Timberwolves being where they are is like the biggest shocker for me so far.
Yeah, a lot of shocking things that's happened in this league so far. LaMelo Ball playing the way he has for the Hornets, and along with Gordon Hayward, has really kind of kept the Hornets in contention right now. And then going along with those young pieces they have with Malik Monk, PJ Washington, and others, I think they've done pretty well so far this year, considering how LaMelo Ball can translate to the league after not playing in college and stuff like that, not playing too much of his senior in high school basketball. His father kind of bouncing around, he and his brother everywhere else. You didn't know how he would translate to the league, but he translates very well in the league right now. And he looks like he can be a fixture to come for years, down the line.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you there.
And never surprised, the Utah Jazz sitting on top of the league.
Yeah, that's true.
A team that, I think we seen making the playoffs, but we didn't see them doing this to the league and playing very well too. And especially this past month, winning by double digits through multiple games this year. You kind of look up and say, wow, they winning, they're near 15 plus every night against teams.
Yeah, and I think it was was it last week or the week before, they would just start going on this incredible, but they've been going on this run for a while, but they were just kicking teams' ass, like just back to back to back. They were going through this run. The run was so good that I thought at one point that they were not in a rush to bring Mike Conley back because they were clicking so well. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything was clicking so much with them. Jordan Clarkson is looking more and more like a Sixth Player of the Year candidate the way he's playing. So they're playing extremely well. Now, even with that, we heard how LeBron was saying that, playing any NBA games in the past, nobody ever picked Utah. And he was saying that because of, the fact that Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell were picked last. It's kind of like this team still needs to gain some respect from a lot of different players and teams. So I don't think we'll see the end of this right now. I think this team is going to keep gelling. The biggest question is, what's going to happen when they get in the playoffs? It seems like every year we see a team that looks good during the season, and then playoffs come, they go flat. And that's like in every sport for some reason. But they're playing pretty good. Very good, actually.
Yeah, and hopefully, Utah comes out the second half of this break and continue what they're doing. Don't let, what LeBron said and all that stuff kind of get in the head, which I don't think they'll allow it. And just continue to push through and just do their thing. And then I think you probably agree with this, but I know we're pretty high on them. But the New York Knicks.
I was just about to say that.
The New York Knicks, they are.
Yeah. Gosh.
I have my reservations about Tom Thibodeau. I'm not saying he's a good coach, great coach in this league. And my thing with him is like, if he doesn't overwork his players, especially with today's NBA, I think great things can come. But he has that old school mentality so much that he might wear his guys to the ground before they reach their potential.
Yeah.
Time will tell. But right now, with him and Julius Randle, that seems like a beautiful fit.
Well, I mean, to be honest, and like you said, as far as running to the ground, they were playing the Pistons, I think, a couple last week, and literally they were blowing them out, like dropping them by 30. And Tom Thibodeau still had Julius Randle in the game.
Yeah.
So, you're in the fourth quarter, with about 8 minutes left. You're about 30, and you still got your all-star forward, still out there. So hopefully that doesn't bite him in the ass later. But yeah, that is one thing that I did notice. But yeah, man, the Knicks, my gosh, I think I sent the message to you when I seen that they were actually 17-17 at the time. It was all on SportsCenter. They said they're in a good spot, and it just was like, wow, we talk about the Knicks. We were just talking about, the fact that they thought they were going to try to get Zion. They thought they would get Kevin Durant. They were getting all this slander. And we were talking about, I believe, before the season, how do they fix this franchise? They had to do it in the front office. And it seems like Tom Thibodeau is doing a hell of a job with what he has. Quickly, Emmanuel Quickly is playing very well. I really like what he's doing with them as well. He's playing very good. Not only that, Mitchell Robinson's been out for a couple weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a huge missing piece as well. But Nerlens Noel has stepped up and played pretty solid. So for them to be, where they are, I think they are in a spot right now where they gotta be and be double checked. Yeah, they are 5th right now in the seeding in the playoffs right now. So that's big, man. That's hell at this point. When it comes to the off season for them and free agents, now they got a selling point. Now they have look, this is how we look this year. If they can keep it up, and maybe bring a couple other guys there. But yeah, the Knicks are one thing that's very, very shocking to me as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's a couple things. Also, I think another thing I have to say too about the surprise is Joel Embiid. Like, I was telling you before, I was talking about, well, if I had to pick one of these players to trade, it would be Joel Embiid because I feel like he's not super serious about, being a pro ball player every game and year in and year out. But look at him; he's having an MVP type season right now. So they're sitting at the top of the East right now. So I think that I honestly believe that's the team that's going to give the Nets the problems. Their weakest point is, big man, covering centers, which they just got Blake Griffin or supposed to be getting him. But I think that Embiid, the way he's playing, it can cause a lot of issues for Brooklyn. But yeah, that's another thing. That's Joel Embiid is a big surprise as well.
Yeah, Joel Embiid is playing great right now. Who I was going to say, Jaylen Brown for the Boston Celtics has played well this year. He's really kind of upped his game a little bit. Also, in my eyes,
Phoenix Suns.
And then also, yes, the Phoenix Suns. Chris Paul. Let me ask you about Chris Paul real quick. There were rumors in the summer that the Knicks were interested in him. If the Knicks were to obtain Chris Paul, would their record be better in the East, or would they be where they at right now?
Well, to be honest, I think it's clear that Chris Paul is literally the best leader in the NBA. I think that his ball IQ and the leadership that he brings, I think it's a little underrated a little bit, because of the LeBrons, the Kawhi Leonards, the Giannis. His name is not really known so much or talked about as much like these other players. So I think if he was in New York, I think they might be in a better spot. I mean, to be honest, Elfrid Payton is not bad, but I don't think his IQ is where Chris Paul's is. So for me, and I think eventually I think they got Derrick Rose in New York for a reason. I'll say that. But I think that if Chris Paul was in New York, we might be looking at a team that might be, maybe 3 or 4 games, maybe looking at a 22-14, 23-13 Knicks team, then a 19-18. I really feel like he's that impactful. I mean, look what he did with OKC last year, and look at him this year, right? So, I mean, for me, I think he's that. It was an eye opener, I think, to a lot of people last year of what he did in OKC. So now that you see him now, that's why I think when we did the preview, I was saying before, I like Phoenix to be pretty good this year because they're bringing in Chris Paul. They got another piece in Jay Crowder, that played a huge impact with Miami. With Miami, playing against Milwaukee in that series, like, we know that Jay Crowder's a hell of a defender, so you bring him in, and you got him clicking with a great leader. Now you also got a hell of a shooter in Devin Booker. Like, you got a pretty solid team. You got some rotation guys up in there, and then you still got Bridges there, so and DeAndre Ayton. So it's not a bad team, but if with the leader in hand, like a Chris Paul, the Knicks could be looking at, a much, much better record right now. Imagine if Chris Paul was in LA with Kobe.
Oh, don't get me started on that.
Yeah. So now that you just to think about it, man, he makes that big of impact.
Yeah, with the year of growth with the young guys in Phoenix and Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Miles Bridges, so forth, throwing Chris Paul, Jay Crowder, and you still got guys off the bench like Saric, as well. You got a good mix of guys right there.
Yeah.
And now
you got Frank Kaminsky as well.
Yep. And now you got a team that's sitting second in the West right now.
Mm-hmm.
That you didn't foresee coming this upcoming season. We knew there'd be an upgrade and stuff like that, but to see, them, 2 games behind Utah, it's amazing to see. So, congrats to them.
Yeah, I mean, I did see it being pretty decent, but just to be where they are, like they're having a sneaky good season right now. And that roster is nice, man. I mean, hell, he's making an impact on Cameron Payne. So, it's the playoffs is going to be pretty interesting this year coming up. As it always is, but even though we have another half, obviously, the playoffs is going to be very interesting. And also, hate to say it again, but Orlando Magic. I've been listening. This is the same repeated thing that happens. We sign players, and for some reason we give big bucks. The injury bug attacks them. So, we having a rough season injury wise. Vooch is playing like Vooch is, like an all-star. I think Aaron Gordon is somebody that they're considering trading, but we'll see. Aminu was looking like he's starting to come back in the fold. He's getting there. One person that is playing very good too is Chuma. He's getting the minutes now, so they got him in rotation, and they're starting to add in, his minutes. But it seems like what they're doing is, I hate to say it, but they may get rid of either Mo Bamba or Aaron Gordon or both. So, because like I said, Chuma is starting to look like a first round pick after the knee injury last year, or not playing last year. Dr. Isaac, we know, is hurt right now. And Fournier is making a lot of money, but they might try to get some picks for him. And then obviously, we talked about it before with Mo Bamba. The whole Mo Bamba thing is, I told you about that pick. So, we'll see. But, yeah, man. I mean, another season, but things look, the season has been very interesting so far, especially with, the postponed games as well.
Yeah, I think we'll wrap this up here. I think for your Magic, I had them going to the playoffs because I think, in a short turnaround that you got to come back in this season, you basically bring in the same roster back. Mine is Jonathan Isaac. And you figure, okay, Fultz will be healthy. You got Vooch in the fold. Eric Gordon should be right when the season starts. Fournier, he's decent. Terrence Ross, who's a FanDuel All-Star, he can give you 30 every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you got decent guys on the bench and stuff like that. But now, you look at this team, you look at the standings, they bottom in the East, only, ahead of, Detroit Pistons, which is no surprise, but you would think this team would be a lot better or show more growth, but, you can count out the injuries, but still, you would think, this team would be a lot better than they are. And I think, the rumors of Vucevic being in the trade circuit may start be heating up here. If you're Orlando, like, okay, we got all this salary paying these guys. We're bottom the East. Why pay all this salary to be at the bottom of the East, and which we get some capital and just go about that way?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like this is not anything that is new. to me how this franchise approaches a lot of things. You got to make a big push to, this next half to at least get a playoff spot. But we just talked about the Knicks looking a hell of a lot better. So teams are going to look better. They're going to make a push as well for those, the top 8 spots as well. So for me, literally, I believe the last game they played against the Hawks, we would have beaten them by like 30 points. I think about 25, 30 points going into like the fourth quarter or midway through the third. And then they let them come back. So, some stuff is, I was reading a couple of things, just looking at the game, the effort was just terrible, at some points of the game. It's not even the fact that it's the injury bug that you can blame. At some point, you're up by 20 to an Atlanta Hawks team. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got the opportunity, and to be honest, Clint Capella didn't even play that game. So, for me, I've got to see what this team is made of, what they're gonna do. Vooch right now is he's trade bait right now. I mean, I hate to say it, but you're wasting his career. You're paying him all this money. Not only that, when his contract is up, Obama's is up. So you're gonna keep one, and either one of them. Obviously, it would be Obama because he's younger, but you'd have to pay him. And what has he done to be paid? So are you just shipping out money now? Like, you know what I'm saying? So you got to make a decision how you are gonna approach this. And man, me and you talked about this before with franchises. In any sport. You make one decision that can affect your franchise for years. And even though the Mo Bamba pick was big, the song came out with, Mo Bamba and all this other stuff. Now, at the end of the day, when it's time to pay him, you're going to have to decide what you're going to do. So now, do you trade Vooch and see what you have Mo Bamba? Or do you say, well, we trade Mo Bamba and then we come to rebuild later on with somebody else? So those are the questions that have to be asked. But, dude, right now, this team has a long way to go to get back in that top 8 spot right now. They are 13 and 23. The Raptors had the last spot at 17 and 19. So, it's the usual, as I say. Unless some of these teams fall apart, it's going to be tough to get that AC or get the top 8.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, like you mentioned, I'll wrap this up real quick. You don't know Obama's, worth because, he hasn't spent a lot of time in the court. So it's hard to gauge, what his worth is to get equal value in return. It's hard to gauge on that. If you drafted a guy that high, you got to squeeze him in. You got to squeeze it in. And then on the bottom, hey, you got to be sellers. Find somebody for Fournier. Find somebody for Vooch, which I think you'll get a lot of calls on. And the bad thing about it, in a sense, you still got the salary tied up with Jonathan Isaac and Markelle Fultz as well.
Exactly.
So you really can't go rebuild all the way like you want to, in a sense, and kind of get like top 3 picks and whatnot and go that route. And kind of had a salary cap in your favor. Now you got to come back and pay these guys down the line, these other guys here. And then you don't know what their health will be when they come back.
Exactly. We'll see. I mean, right at this point, that's how I see it, as a we'll see type thing.
And it's a great thing you brought up the Hawks. Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, Lloyd Pierce was let go last week by the Atlanta Hawks after 2 years with the team. There have been reports saying that, you know, him and Trae Young wouldn't get along, stuff like that. So, and then I guess when Nate McMillan got rewarded the position, it seemed like the players were cool with it. So, I was going to read this little part from The Athletic real quick. 7 months after the pandemic had brought the Atlanta Hawks season to an unwelcome end, it was time for a Southern California reunion to bring them all back together. Coach Lloyd Pierce and all the Hawks returnees will meet for team bonding time, with all sorts of activities planned that he hoped will aid their chemistry headed into the season. They all knew they would be pressure packed. There was pickup basketball against other NBA players, boxing class, and all that type of stuff. But the real headline event took place when Pierce and Trae Young met privately to discuss their upcoming 3 years together. At that point, anyone and everyone around the Hawks organization was well aware of the relationship these two key figures were strained. Didn't know that. If the Hawks were going to make the playoffs this season and contend, if they're going to avoid delays to accomplish their shared goals, they were going to make this pairing work, sources say. The end of their trip on good terms had a better understanding how they each could make this work for the long term. But in the end, after old tensions between Pierce resurfaced, other players grew frustrated with Pierce's style, and owner Tony Wrestlers' desperate desire to make the playoffs added so much pressure to the situation. It was not to be. Those plans Pierce and Young had hatched in Southern California officially fell short on Monday when the underperforming Hawks 14-20, and now Pierce has been relieved of his duties. D-Lock, we watch the NBA. We keep up the NBA. We never had like a sense that Lloyd Pierce and Trae Young had issues.
Yeah, I didn't sense that. At least I didn't see that at all. Is it something that you noticed that would make you think that? Because unless they kept it, they must have kept it under wraps pretty well.
I guess so. And for them to have a private meeting like that, I guess these issues been going on for a little while. But I think for the Hawks, I think one thing you may agree this or not, their two offseason pickups, Gallinari and Bogdanovic, they really haven't played much to kind of show what this team look like, fully healthy. And throwing kick Capella as well.
Yeah.
That's my thing. Like, I don't know if Lloyd Pierce was a hard ass or whatever, but those three guys right there. And then also you lose DeAndre Hunter out to injury. You got a lot of guys injured right now for the Hawks.
Well, for me, we're sitting at like 16 and 20. This is another team that I thought was going to be better too when they traded for Capella. Remember, they traded for him, I think, mid-season last year?
Yep.
That's when we really didn't know what the hell Houston was doing. But I was thinking that this Trae Young and Capella connection was gonna work. Another thing that is huge too is John Collins is going to be a free agent after this year. So for me, this team seems like they got the solid pieces. I mean, you got the big man, you got the forward, you brought in he been playing pretty good recently now. Can't think of the damn name right now.
Gallinari?
Yes. Now that he's at least healthy, he's getting the minutes a little bit, even though it's been a couple games. But I haven't it's with these new pieces that they have. If you ask me, it seems like they didn't give him that the coach that enough time. It just seemed like it was a hey, we got a new group of guys, now let's just get rid of Pierce. For me, get rid of Coach Pierce. Like I just for them to come out and say the connection between him and Trae Young was kind of skeptical. I would think we would have heard about this last year.
Yep.
So to me, I think it's more behind it because again, like you said, you signed a couple guys, Bogdanovich, who remember all season we were talking about how that's a hell of a lot of money, and it was between the Kings. They were trying to see if the Kings were going to match it. So it was somewhat interesting to see how that went down. And I fully think that's a blame on. They just had to blame it on something. Well, Coach Pierce and Trae Young just didn't get along, and they need to bring somebody else in. Hunter, like you said, he's been nicked up, and Kevin Hughes has been playing pretty solid when Hunter isn't playing. So another person too that hasn't really done too much. I think he's been hurt a lot, or maybe he just went and collected this check and he's just chilling right now. It's Rondo. So for me, I don't think it was just a chemistry thing between those two. If you ask me, I think it had something to do, with the fact that they got a new group of guys and possibly just wanted to bring somebody else in, which I don't think is right. But when I see that, I sent it to you when it happened. I kind of was shocked, to be honest with you. I mean, I didn't expect for it to happen, so soon.
I was kind of surprised too. I was like, damn, they had tension like that or issues. And, it circles back to the NBA being a players' league. If player ain't feeling the coach and whatnot, they're going to get rid of the coach first before the player.
Exactly.
And, I think we talked about this in the past about Trae Young, about the Hawks trying to keep him happy, and keep him in Atlanta for the long term. And I think this is one of those moves to do that.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, they're I think I think it was this off season he signed with Clutch Sports.
Yep.
So he's with he's with LeBron's company. Him, I think also Draymond, a couple other guys. So for me, maybe it's a hey, well, we want to make sure that we keep you. You're our star. We'll make sure we keep you happy. And I believe remember the trade between them and Dallas. You can't say who really won that trade because Luka is playing obviously one of the he's looking like a star in the league. So is Trae Young, but it seems like Trae Young fits in Atlanta. It looked like he fits that, and so do Luka. Like Luka seems like he fits the mold for the Dallas Mavericks. So for me, they're basically doing as much as they can to keep Trae Young there. Maybe that's just what that was. But for them to say, well, it's the chemistry thing, I can't buy that, man. Like they're gonna start winning, and I think they have the potential in the squad to do that. But this new coaching thing is just, I don't know. I guess that's something that they wanted to do.
Yeah, I put a ball on it like this. If ownership saying, hey, we had this discussion with Lloyd before the season that we expect the playoffs, and we felt like you're underperforming, cool. I understand, may get rid of him. But if you're doing this because him and Trae Young had a disagreement, which yes, I understand. Game recognized game. We understand how that goes, but we expect a lot better from this team. Even with the injuries to Gallinari, Capella, and Bogdanovic, you still had a good roster that could have done some things, but things that really had to pan out for them. Now they're gonna be in the dogfight trying to make the playoffs. You got Indiana ahead of you right now. Chicago, another team we ain't really talked about too much. Sitting in that ninth spot. Toronto 8, Charlotte 7. Miami finally found their groove back in the 6th seed. So you got a lot of teams you got to climb over there to make that playoff push. Washington kind of has played pretty decent here past couple weeks.
Yeah.
So, if you're Atlanta, you better hope Nate McMillan can, take you to the promised land and make the playoffs. Or not, you gotta make some changes to that roster, in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, it that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, if you're gonna let Coach Pierce go, like, how we I think we both agree that they probably did check with Trae Young before they made this move. Are you going to check with him moving forward? Because, like you said, dude, the Wizards, they're not looking that bad right now. They're connecting. They're beating some solid teams. Didn't they go play LA like last week and they beat them?
Yep.
So, the Wizards are getting a couple wins that they need, and I say that to say that these other teams are the Bulls, as bad as they've been playing. They are still in the thick of things. Toronto, same thing. So the Hawks got to make this push. Because now you let go of your coach. Well, it must be something that's going to drastically change now. Like I said, they just played against the Magic team, and literally came back from like a 27 to 30 point deficit. So that was, okay, boom, they made that big comeback. But this energy needs to be the same, with Coach McMillan. So I mean, it's like I said, for me, it was somewhat of a shocker. But like you said, Gallinari, it seems like he's starting to, get more minutes. Obviously, because DeAndre Hunter is hurt. Kevin Huerter I think he's playing pretty solid. And John Collins, it seems like John Collins is kind of, deciding whether he wants to play for them or not. Like, he knows that free agency is coming up where they're trying to trade. So, and then also, like I said, Capella, to be honest with you, bro, what Capella, you talk about a FanDuel player. Capella, well, at some point, price was so low, you just had to get him. And if you didn't, it's too late now because they shot his price up. That's how well he's playing. So, I think he just had a great match against Denver a couple weeks ago, too, or last week. So, but yeah, I mean, I expect the Hawks, man. Again, that fire was that letting him go was, in a way, I remember watching them last year. People were saying, well, this team is going to be on the rise next year. They just need to give him a couple of shooters. It's got Capella having pretty decent expectations, and now for them to let him go, halfway through the season is. I mean, maybe they see something. Like I said, maybe it's something that they see or they want that we don't see right now. So, but again, the East has just gotten a lot better. So even though they made that move, you are sitting at the 11th seed. You're looking at 16 and 20. But hell, the Pacers, Sabonis looking like, and all he's playing on an all-star level. Did you see T.J. McConnell with 10 steals last week?
Yes, and yeah, That's like one of those picks you wish you had on FanDuel. Like, damn.
Oh my gosh, dude! I'm literally looking at this man grab a steal with a total of 71 FanDuel points, 0%. So, but yeah, so like I said, some of these teams they're on the East, they're starting to click, and the Hawks will get it together. Could be some more changes.
I definitely agree with you there, and we'll leave it on that on the Hawks, and transition to the NCAA real quick. With the NCAA tourney season going on right now, the regular season is wrapping up tonight. Still some question marks out there. You know, shout out to Terry Rodriguez and Adam Karnick in the chat. Terry brought up the point that if Oregon beats Oregon State tonight, you know, Oregon wins the regular season Pac-12 championship. If Oregon loses, USC will win the title. Is going that way. The touch on
13 right now.
Yep, and to touch on the automatic big so far, the A-Sun Liberty has won that, winning by 4 against North Alabama today. If Liberty was getting them regardless, because North Alabama got to wait to that 4-year transition period for the Division I, which I think is stupid in my eyes. You know, I just think that's a silly thing. But, you know, shows great, you know, show great for that growth in that program that they can get that level early on and sustain that. But Liberty, automatic bid for the A-Sun. Winthrop winning for the Big South today, very handily over Campbell. Loyola Chicago, kind of one of those teams that you probably don't want to see in the tournament, winning the Missouri Valley. Morehead State winning Ohio Valley Conference. So you got those automatic bids right there. Everybody else will be signing their conference tournaments this upcoming week. So a lot of basketball going on in this coming week in college. But I want to talk about, and I kind of touched on this last week, Duke. Are they trying to like really shoehorn this team in, D-Lock? Because they sent in 11-11. They got beat down by North Carolina. They still owe Mr. Joe Lunardi and his wonderful bracketology. I use that sarcastically. That they trying to squeeze Duke in, but it's like, dog, like
they don't want to be in. They don't want to be in. It don't seem like.
It's like they, like we talked about Kentucky this year. It's a bad season for them. It's the down season. It happens.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we talk about, you know, how, boom, you know, COVID and all this other stuff going on. There's a lot of shocking things going on in 2020 and 2021. One of the shocking things is the fact that Duke and Kentucky are terrible right now. We could talk about all the other stuff, yeah, you know, the presidential stuff and all the other different things, COVID, all this stuff, that is just making this world, you know, seem like things are just going kind of crazy. But to add on, Duke is one of the, you know, teams, Duke and Kentucky are one of the great teams that we watch and know, you know, in college basketball, and they're terrible. They just lost their 3rd game in a row. Now, they fall hard in the other 2 games, you know, against Louisville and Georgia Tech, both going to overtime. They got blew out yesterday. So, I don't know. I mean, like, it's like, I don't know, man. And then it's not like they're losing, like, you know, one game here, then win. They're losing these games in streaks.
Yes.
Like, they're back-to-back-to-back games. Like, is this on purpose? Or are y'all even paying attention this week? Like, like, what is it? So, would you put them in the tournament? Not just because who they are, but how they've been playing.
No. They really haven't deserved it. The way, and you look around the country, Michigan State, you know, and also shout out to them, big win over Michigan today. And I think that win against Michigan today, compounded with the other ranked wins they had the past couple weeks, I think they're a shoe in for an automatic bid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I tweeted from the Fast Break account on Twitter at Fastbreak at IESR. And I know Michigan State had their struggles too as well, but they kind of have caught on and got that, Tom Izzo Holy Ghost going on right now.
Yeah.
They in the tournament before Duke.
Yeah, definitely. And the fact that they, just played Michigan, on Thursday, that lets you know they kind of knew what they were getting into, right? So, Michigan State is a team that I definitely would put in before Duke, but it just seems like, I don't know, man. I mean, this is one of them things that, how we say things happen like every blue moon. This is what's going on right now with Kentucky and Duke at the same time. Like, how often? Just think, how often is this? So it's I mean, for it to be the third game in a row too, the third loss, like, especially to North Carolina. My gosh, you know how deep that rivalry is. So, I can't put them in right now. I at least I would either.
That Duke and Carolina rivalry is so deep. When Marquette beat North Carolina a couple weeks ago, Duke tweeted from that account then of Wojnarowski and Coach K hugging.
Yeah.
That's how deep that rivalry is.
Yep. So, this is one of those things that, and I only caught a little bit of that Duke North Carolina game yesterday, and it seems like Duke is uninterested. To be honest with you, ask me. Like I don't know, I don't know what is going on or what is it, but it's just the whole, like, they're not interested in, in things right now. Maybe it's the fact, like I said, maybe it's the whole COVID scenario, games getting postponed. But at this point, I mean, COVID is only teaching us or showing us, only the strong kind of survive in these moments.
Yep.
And I mean, right now, people can complain about COVID, bro. Like, people can do that, but everybody's dealing with it. I mean, we talked about it for the NFL. People were saying, well, you remember at the beginning of the NFL, there's no preseason. They don't have all these chances to get reps and all the other stuff. But nobody cares about that when you got to play. At the end of the day, you still got to play. So this tournament is still going to happen. So you can either be ready for it or not be ready for it. COVID really is letting us know mentally how, some of these teams are going about it. And if you're not mentally ready, which Duke is showing right now, I'm bothered showing up. Because you see what happened yesterday.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing,
Yeah, I think when Coach K had that, I guess after, Illinois, beat them back in December, and Coach K was kind of, complaining how the season was and, all that stuff, COVID, all that stuff, like you just mentioned. I knew kind of right in there that, they kind of checked out right there, for Duke. And, like you mentioned about COVID. And not just in sports, but in society, we see, who can adapt and overcome on things. Who can rise to the top. Who can change their life around if their routine is broken.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to sound like a homer here, but with Alabama basketball, Nate Oates, wrapped up the regular season yesterday against Georgia. He finally got these guys playing straight ball. The way Nate Oates talks and stuff like that. That never say die attitude and stuff like that We're going to persevere through. I don't give a damn if you're a senior here or the best player in the country. I don't put the best 5 in the 4. If you ain't playing up to snuff, I get the next man up.
Yeah.
You know, with the senior John Petty, him and John Petty had a come to Jesus moment back in December. He sat John Petty out, you know, one game against Western Kentucky. And after that, you know, they went on the tear to the SEC. Eventually won the regular season title. So we've seen certain coaches, you know, adapt to overcome.
Yeah.
For Coach K and Duke, I expected better for him because, you know, you've been in the game for a minute, man.
Yeah, and he's been to Olympics. Like, he's been a lot of spots.
I didn't think you would punk out like this or kind of man down this season. But, you know, if Duke run the table and win the ACC tournament, hey, they'll be in. But yeah. I think, you know, they play Boston College, you know, the tip-off of the ACC tournament. I think they'll get the win there. But then after that, you know, good luck trying to find another win there.
I'll say this and end it on my side with it. As a former athlete, you know, we don't want to, the team that you don't want to lose to badly out of both, I would lose to a team that I don't have a rivalry against badly than my rival. Now, Florida State, we hated Virginia Tech. We would never lose to them terribly. That wouldn't happen. That would stick in our crow forever. So to lose to North Carolina the way they did is going to stick for a long time.
Yeah, it's going to stick. And them missing out the tournament and press to go to NIT is going to stick for a long time for them too.
Yep.
But, ladies and gentlemen, this has been our show tonight. Thank you for tuning us on here on Fast Break on IE Sports Radio. D-Lock, how can people find you on social media?
You guys definitely find me at Black-813. Black, the word -813. And I'll definitely be tweeting, looking at this show and get ready for the slam dunk competition coming up. Let them know where they can find you at.
You can find me on Twitter at Spawn4288. That is Spawn4288. Also, you can find me on my other podcast I do, The Crooks Process. You can find me on there on Facebook and Instagram. That is The Crooks Process. Also, please do follow us on Fast Break on Twitter at Fastbreak IESR. Also, do check out the website, iesportsradio.com. Also, please go in there. You catch the backlog of our shows and other shows on the network. And also buy some merch at the store. Right behind us is Mike Pat with Let's Whine About Sports. So catch him immediately after our show. And I also do want to send out condolences to Felicia here on IE Sports Radio. She lost her brother just a few days ago. So we do want to send our condolences out to her and her family. So, you know, that being said, thanks for tuning in with us. We'll be back next week. We out.
Out.